to the Mindset with Morgan podcast. I am so grateful you're here. I'm Morgan, and I am a multiple seven-figure entrepreneur who adores all things business. I love building great teams and great companies who benefit the world. I've been building and running startups for nearly 15 years, and I've learned a few things along the way. I'm a teacher by heart, and I'm so excited to share with you. I'm also human, and I need a good pick-me-up and mindset shift before meetings, tough conversations, and sometimes just on my morning commute. My hope is that you can use this podcast as a quick mindset reset before you start your day or whenever you need a mindset shift. I also love a good funny story with a helpful lesson involved, and that is what you'll get here. Now let's learn, grow, and have a few laughs. Hello and welcome. So today I want to talk about something that keeps coming up, and I'm really excited to talk about it because I think it's something that almost all of us are going to deal with at some point. So it might be relevant for you now, or it might be relevant for you tomorrow or years from now. If so, you can come on back to this episode and listen to it, and I hope it inspires you to take the next step. So the word I want to talk about today is delegation. And what's funny is that this has come up multiple times for me just this week. And I take it as a sign from God. When I keep hearing the same thing over and over again, I want to record something about it. I want to teach about it. I want to share about it because clearly it's something that people want to know and people want to learn about. And this is an area that I have struggled with over the years. I don't think anyone is perfect at anything, but I can definitely say my muscles have gotten stronger over the years, and I'm excited to share more. So there's a common theme that I keep hearing about from those that I coach, and it's that delegation is hard. And there's also a mindset around delegation, especially when somebody is first getting into the world of delegating or giving out tasks. So if you are somebody who's really, 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 really good at your job, that's amazing, right? And you know if you're that person, right? Your boss is always like, oh yeah, I don't need to give this person much direction. I know that they've got it, right? You're that person maybe who left a job and it took 3 people to replace your job because you were so good at it that no one can seem to figure out how to do it, right? Maybe when you take off, the whole world just falls at work and part of you a little bit is like, haha, see you guys, you miss me when I'm gone. Speaking from experience, right? Like we all, if you are that high producer, that high performer, that person who is number one at work, really, really, really good at your job, you know what this is like. However, there are moments in said person's world where we need to start delegating, right? Because if you're really good at your job or what you do, and this could be in so many different worlds. This could be in, the position that you're in. This could be at your startup company. This could be in your department, whatever it is. If you are entering the world of delegation, it is hard. And I think one of the common feelings of somebody who's getting into delegation for the first time or training or giving away tasks is it can feel a little bit, and I personally felt this exact same way, you feel like you're throwing your poo at someone else. Like, here, this isn't a good enough task for me anymore, so I'm going to shove it on you. And now I say that because I've felt it. You may not feel this way, and if that's the case, if delegation came easy for you, please, by all means, praise you, because not all of us have had that easy flow into delegation. I will say my husband is really, really good at delegation, like insanely good. He is so good at surrounding himself with a dream team and really honing in on the thing he's really, really good at. It's just something that came naturally for him. For me, it did not. It did not come naturally for me at all. And I've built many, many great teams, but it did not come easy for me. And when we first start delegating, it feels like you feel like when you begin giving tasks away to somebody else, maybe it's a direct report or just somebody else at the company, you feel like you're literally like that you're not good enough anymore to do that task, or that you feel kind of like a jerk for being like, yeah, I'm moving on to this. Well, I'm going to throw this to you. But here's what I want to remind you of. I want you to shift your mindset about delegation. I like to think of jobs and positions as like little buckets, right? And you can only fit so much in each person's bucket, or your bucket will just be too full. And well, what happens if our bucket's too full? Well, we simply become nutcases, honestly. When we have too much on our plate, things start to fall off, right? And then you get green beans on the ground, and that's a mess, right? We don't want that. So instead of feeling like one task or one responsibility is more important than the other, I just like to look at it as one big overarching system. And all of these buckets are people, and tasks go in the bucket, right? And if your bucket is full and you know that you have a skill or responsibility that requires you to take on more things, you need to get some things out of your bucket because your bucket is full. You can't fit more in it, right? And now the really cool thing is, when you give someone something from your bucket, that could mean that you are blessing them. What if you're giving someone something that they're so excited to do, and you were holding on to it for too long and not giving them the opportunity to do something that they're really naturally good at, right? So I want you to think of tasks as more like just a giant bucket, and you are moving the task from one area to another. Now, when you do decide to finally move said tasks, you need to make sure that you are training properly. And training is such a different skill set, I think, than being good at your job. You can be really, really, really good at your job. I had a high school teacher once who was a kayak teacher. And I remember this still vividly to this day, because when he first said it, it didn't make any sense to me. He said he was so good at kayaking, and he did like major kayaking, like flipping over and going down, I don't know, whitewater rafting or something like that. He was so good at it that he was a terrible teacher. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, right? He was so good at it and had done it so long that he no longer knew how to teach it. And I found that so interesting. He no longer knew how to teach it, right? Because it was so natural to him that, and this, man was in his 70s by now. He'd been doing it so long, he did not know how to step out of it to be able to break it down and teach it to somebody. So initially I took this as, man, do I need to suck at something in order to teach it? No, that's not the case. But you need to have a different mindset when you're teaching somebody how to do something. And I am all about a good playbook. I learned that from Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Awesome book. So a playbook, the way I structure them, is a document with a step-by-step instruction on how to do something, right? And the only way I think to make a really great playbook is to be doing it while you make the playbook, okay? Now, the cool part is, before you even delegate, you want to make these playbooks for everything that you do, because that way they're ready to go. I also like to record myself doing the task or whatever it may be, and then explain how often you do it. Okay, we do this every second Tuesday. So Dan Martell in his book talks about a good playbook having candor, kind of a description of how you do it, and then a checklist at the end as well. A checklist of, okay, now you did it, check on this. If these things are all done, you're good to go. The checklist is one of my favorite parts. I always include a link to a video as well. So basically I just upload a video to the Google Drive, whether it be a screen share video or literally a video of me walking around, videotaping what I'm doing if it's something that's more physical. And then I upload it into the Google Drive, and I link that video inside my Google Drive playbook that I make a Google Sheet for, or a Google Word doc, or whatever you want to call it. That way the video is there forever and somebody can watch it for a long time to come. Now then, when I begin training said person and show them how to do it in person, then I give them the playbook and I tell them to come back to me wherever they get hung up, because I'm expecting that I probably missed something, right? We're so in our heads that sometimes we forget a step, that we're like, oh yeah, but we just do it, right? Then the person you're training and delegating to needs to come back to you and tell you what you missed. Oh, I got really stuck here. Great. Now I know what to fix in the playbook, and we move on. Now, I'm not going to say that this happens overnight. This takes some major time, you guys. However, it's going to buy back so much of your time in the future. And do a little by little. when you begin delegating for the first time, just give away a few things at a time. And over time, you will have a well-rounded person who's trained and supported. Because one of the hardest parts about training is making sure the person feels supported enough where they feel like they're getting guidance and feedback from you, but also that they're not being spoon-fed and having learned helplessness where they know they can just come to you instead of figuring things out on their own, which as the delegator can feel very weird. I never like to feel like I'm throwing someone into the fire, but I also want their muscles to be strong so that when something happens, they don't freak out. They know how to fix it on their own. And I like to act almost as like a safety net, like I'm here, but I want you to figure out on your own first. So with delegation, if you train really well, have really good playbooks and really good how-tos, it becomes something that becomes fun and empowering. I remember the first time I delegated and somebody else took a task from me for the first time, it felt like, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing on the planet. And I almost like got addicted and, then built a bunch of companies. But when you realize that things are duplicatable, there's very few things that can't be duplicated. Unfortunately, we're all replaceable, right? I think some of us maybe don't want to delegate or don't want to train someone how to do things because it proves the point that we're not so special and we're not the only ones on the planet who can do a certain job. But once we get over that hump and admit that we're just all human and all here just doing our best and really bring the humility into it, remember that when you take something out of your bucket, you get to put something new into your bucket. And that means you can go do more things that you're naturally good at and that can benefit others. You can't benefit others and grow if you don't offload some stuff. And that person you're offloading onto, that person's going to take what you taught them and do it even better because it's something that they love and enjoy and are good at. So see it as a gift and not that you're slinging poo. Maybe you feel that way, maybe you don't, but like I said, that's how I felt in the beginning. But I hope you feel inspired that if you are on the verge of making your first hire or beginning to train or starting to think about delegating some things away, I hope this inspires you to see it as a gift, to start preparing now with some good playbooks and how-tos so you can really educate someone on how to do what you're really, really good at. And you know what? It's going to be so awesome when they're even better at it. So I hope you're inspired. I hope you feel excited about this and happy delegating.